Otangelo.
Oh, you can't promise it won't be long.
Yes, I can. Watch this. Hi, Otangelo.
Oh, no.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, Jamie, Eric. How are you guys?
Hi, Otangelo.
We haven't talked in months, you and I.
Yes, true, Eric.
Do you remember why we haven't talked in months?
Well, actually, I don't know because I am calling in and sometimes you guys say, well, people that watch the show, they are sick of you, of your arguments. They don't want to listen to you anymore.
So those are other people, but I actually wrote in when you and I were having a private discussion, and I told you exactly why I'm done with this conversation. Do you remember why?
Well, I remember that the first conversation that we had, you said, let's check out together about origins and what maybe is the best explanation of it. And I'm in with that.
Yeah, you swamped me in stuff. And then when I sent you back stuff, you admitted that you hadn't read it, which was dishonest. It just is. You know, we can move past it, but that was dishonest. So it made me not want to read what you sent me. But even more importantly, I said, as we've both said on the show already, we want to follow the evidence where it leads. And we're willing to accept something if it is true, and we want to just be able to evaluate it. I'm willing to change my beliefs, right? I'm willing because I don't even think I can choose my beliefs. My beliefs are going to change based on what evidence I have at hand and how I understand the world around me. What you responded to, Otangelo, is you said, I will not accept or change no matter what. There is no evidence that you can bring me. There's no argument that you could give that could take away my belief. You would have to bring me the bones of Jesus Christ to at all change my views. That is what you said. And my response was, then I'm wasting. Perfect. Then we're wasting our time with you. You have zero to add. No, Otangelo. You have zero to add until you're willing to come as an honest interlocutor to this show, because it is dishonest to engage not openly. We are honest. We are open. Do you get that?
Are you?
No, Otangelo, no, because what you are doing is fucking wrong. Tell me right now that you would be willing to change your beliefs if you had the evidence for it. Do it. Tell me.
Of course, I am open to the truth.
Okay, no, no. You're couching that bullshit. No, I need you to, if you want to stay on this show, I need you to tell me, are you willing to accept that your religious beliefs may not be true if you are given the correct evidence? What would change your faith, Otangelo?
If you can demonstrate to me, Eric.
No, answer the question directly. Look, I'm going to do a little bit of behind the scenes here. When there's the one shot on Eric, I've been giving him the signal of like, oh, just give me 1 minute, give me 2 minutes, etc., that I do off camera when I want to communicate to that to him without sound. And now I'm not sure whether I should because of the way you have refused to respond directly to it. Yes or no? If you are provided with sufficient evidence to understand that the argument that you have presented, I think 3 separate times on our show, isn't sufficient, isn't sound, isn't valid, or shouldn't be persuasive, are you willing to accept that conclusion?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good answer to give. I hope it's true.
Would it only require the bones of Jesus? Or have you changed your view?
This is one of the good reasons that you would convince me that Christianity, which is my religious belief, isn't true. But that is not the only question in regards of origins. I mean, I told you at the first show that
Otangelo,
the first question to be answered.
Otangelo, I get it, and I understand how your line of thinking has gotten there. But I don't think you're seeing what this point and why I'm so frustrated and why Jamie is so frustrated. So I really want to walk you through this because what you did is said, nothing will change my mind except for bringing me the bones of Christ. And you just said, I still hold that position. Is that true?
In regards of my
Yes or no?
religious belief,
No. Yes or no.
deity,
Would only the bones of Christ change your viewpoint?
well, show me how life can come from.
I didn't. No. You're not deflecting this because I'm not going to let you. You can get a yes or no out, or I can just say, Otangelo refuses to be an honest interlocutor. Have a nice day. Yes or no? Is it only the bones of Christ that will change your view?
No.
Okay. So
then I'm glad I listened, and I'm glad you had the opportunity to change your viewpoint. I'm glad that you weren't going to stand so brazenly behind it that you were going to close yourself off to conversation, because that is the end of conversation. Right?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that you have an understanding of where we're coming from. I'm not sure which direction Eric wants to take this call because I've been a little distracted. But do you want to cover what else would persuade you, or do you want to say how in the F would you know that they were the bones of Christ and not some other random bones,
because,
or what that would have to do with supernatural anything?
No,
because he resurrected without his bones.
No, we cut that out of the way. Okay. That would be redundant.
Okay.
So Otangelo, what would it take to change your Christian viewpoint?
I think, Eric, that the first question, which we have not gone through still, is about if there is a God or not.
Well,
that's the basic question.
So hold on. Are you rephrasing or are you changing the topic? I'm genuinely asking.
I called into the show to talk about abiogenesis.
I picked up this call to tell you, if you have not changed your mind and you're never willing to be open to evidence, don't ever call again and hang up on you. The fact is you are willing to change your mind, at least the fact that it's not just the bones of Christ. So I want to explore this and determine whether or not you're still worth talking to.
And I'm glad that you've said you've changed your mind. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Step on you, but
this isn't just my show. We're in it together.
Don't get scared away by our tone.
So what would change your mind from your Christian belief?
Well, I mean, the Bible is the basis of my Christian belief. So if you can show me that historical facts that are narrated in the Bible aren't true, if you can demonstrate that the Bible is
perfect.
Just to clarify, Otangelo, just to clarify very quickly, and then I'll let you take this. So the history in the Bible, the historical claims and stories, are what you base your belief in supernatural events that occurred then and can continue to occur now on. That historical evidence is your evidence for supernatural evidence that relates to physics. Is that what we're hearing?
Jamie, my basis to believe in God is based on science.
No, so what you just said, hold on. I was trying to make this a one quick question. So what you just said was my Christian, I think you said viewpoint or belief, is based on the Bible. And if you wanted to persuade me not to believe that, you would persuade me that the historical narratives and the historical events in there were inaccurate. And my question was, okay, but does your Christian belief include supernatural events? Is prayer answered?
Yeah.
Does God intervene in the world even today?
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck does that have to do with history?
Absolutely.
Hold on.
It's an example.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I think Eric is going to take it from here.
Otangelo, go ahead and finish because I want you to be able to respond to Jamie.
You
That's
should
not
respond
fair.
to that.
So I am explaining that I believe that the Bible is true, that the historical facts narrated that there are true, that the intervention of God, the supernatural, miraculous interventions in history narrated in the Bible are true. And if you can persuade me that what is told there isn't factual is not true, then of course this would shake my faith.
Okay, so let's look at one. I'm gonna bring one up, just one because we do have other callers, but I do want to bring one up. So let's go with the Adam and Eve story and the Garden of Eden. Okay.
Okay.
So do you? I'm assuming that you're saying that story is literally true.
Absolutely.
Okay. How can we, because this is what we do when we evaluate things. I want you to have an idea of how we understand things. And so you don't think it's just an attack on you, because it's not. This is how we understand the world, right? We look for something called falsifiability. And when we look to falsify something, we go, hey, if this is true, we should expect to see this. If this is false, we should expect to see this, right? And then we test it, and depending on what happens, we can determine whether or not it is likely to be true. So how can you make the claim that the Garden of Eden was falsifiable? I can think of a few, but I'd like to see if you can think of any.
Okay. Genesis and Adam and Eve and Genesis 1, this story talks about God's special creation of man, biodiversity, animals, plants, everything that we see on Earth living.
Okay.
So that is the basic narrative in Genesis.
No, it's not.
So,
I'm talking about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, and the casting out of paradise and the instantiation of original sin. I'm talking about that specifically. Okay. How can we falsify that story? How can we determine whether or not that's true? How do we investigate it?
Well, we can't falsify it.
Yes, we can.
You can falsify operation. You can falsify operational science. You can make an experiment and see if life can come from non-life.
No, hold on. You know, Otangelo, we can get there when we're done with this thing that we both agreed we'd talk about. Don't change the subject now. We're doing well. I really want to keep going.
Go ahead.
How could you falsify the Garden of Eden story?
You can't, because it's not operational science. It has nothing to do with current events.
Okay. Well, let's actually see. Let me come up with a few examples. Right. Finding the Garden of Eden, being able to say on a map, hey, the Garden of Eden is somewhere in Egypt. We found it. Here are its geographic coordinates. There's an angel currently out front, very bored, with a flaming sword. If we could point to that, would that be evidence for the story?
Sure.
Okay. So if we looked and we were unable to find it, should we accept it as true anyway?
It depends.
I don't think so, because I think the time to believe something is when you have the evidence for it. But let's look at another one, right? So Adam was supposedly the first human, and Eve was the first, it was the second human, right? That those were the two first humans. We can trace our genetic lineage, right? We can see that there was actually never a time when there were only ever two. And I mean, I can explain it to you in a way that I think you would even agree. There has to be genetic diversity, because if there's not, a species won't survive. When you get to the last two pandas, they're done. You have to have enough genetic diversity for the species to continue. When you're at two, you're done. Do you understand that?
Go ahead with your line of reasoning.
Sure. So if you look at that and we go, okay, how can we falsify whether or not Adam and Eve existed? Well, if they are the only two humans, then you would have to go, oh crap, that can't be the case, because if it was, humanity never would have taken off in the first place, right?
So what is your explanation?
No, I'm not giving you an explanation. I'm just evaluating what your claim is. See, Otangelo, I value saying I don't know, because I feel like it gives me permission to learn and grow and ask questions. There's so many things about this world that we don't understand. I'm okay saying I don't know. I'm just asking you because it seems like you're saying you have the answer, and I want to find out why. And is that for a good reason? Because if you've got good reason, I want to know too.
I am fine, Eric, to tell you that there is no possibility to falsify historical facts.
Okay, so I just gave you 2 examples. Did you disagree with them? Because if you disagree with them, then if tomorrow
you kill your own argument because life has to start somehow.
No, hold on. You're changing the subject again because I think you're afraid that we're coming to a conclusion that you can't back up. You can talk about that when we finish. We're talking about the Garden of Eden. I haven't changed the subject, I promise. I want us to be able to talk about this. So if we're talking about the Garden of Eden, I said, here are 2 falsifiable examples. If you deny it, then what that would mean is if we found the Garden of Eden tomorrow, you would not accept that as being evidence for God. If we were to say, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, we have found the Garden of Eden,
and it's
flaming sword and all, they won't let us in. If that popped up on the news, would that be evidence for God for you?
Sure, it would confirm Genesis.
So you're saying that you'll accept it if it works in your favor, but you won't accept it if it doesn't. Is that correct?
Well, I told you it is about historical facts.
No. Okay. So
that's not the question he asked.
So then, why is it that you only take when it works for you and everything else? I can explain it away. Ask me something about the world I live in, because I care about this, and it doesn't seem like you do. Either it's that, or you've convinced yourself something horrible.
Have you looked into alternative explanations?
No, so I don't care, and that's not relevant to the conversation.
Well, my answer to you, I gave it to you, Eric. I told you that if you ask me for falsifiable proof that the Genesis is true, then I will tell you no, I don't have any. Now, but it can exist because we can actually make falsifiable claims about that. That is a story we can test. I gave you 2 examples, and when they would work in your favor, you said you'd accept them, and when they don't work in your favor, you said you would not accept them. That's not okay. Do you understand that? I can make the same question.
Sure, go ahead.
But then you will right away say, I am moving goalposts.
No, because hold on. If you give me the same question, it's, Eric, do you believe that there are falsifiable claims that you can make about the Garden of Eden? I would say, yes, there are falsifiable claims that you can make about the Garden of Eden. If you go, well, Eric, what about something totally unrelated? Then, yeah, dude, I'm going to call you on it, because that is not appropriate. It's not answering the question. It's just shifting things. And if all you're going to do is shift things, that's another reason to end this conversation with you, because I really don't want to have a conversation with someone who's behaving dishonestly. And if you are going to shift things instead of answer questions, that is a dishonest position. It makes you a dishonest interlocutor. I don't want you to do that. Do you want to do that? I don't want you to do that.
I did answer your question, Eric.
So you're saying, are there falsifiable claims you can make about the Garden of Eden?
Why do you expect that we find the Garden of Eden if the Bible says that there was a global flood and then everything, geology and everything changed? Why do you expect that we would still find the Garden of Eden?
Because.
And why is that relevant?
Sure, that's a really good question, Otangelo. That is one example. I can make we can pull out plenty of stories, but regardless, what you did now is you confused the map for the place. You went, here's the claim, and the claim explains the claim. You haven't actually given any evidence for it. You've just said, here's the Bible, and the Bible says the Bible is true. And that is actually not a good way. That's why I use this whole Book of Eric thing. That's why I pull it up and I say, my book says it is true. Is it true? Well, you don't accept that. So I want you to be honest and take a good look and ask yourself why you're letting yourself do that.
I don't really know what your point is, Eric, at this point.
Sure.
Because I told you that I don't see the necessity to find the Garden of Eden to
Oh, no. It is actually pivotal. It's crucial. Why would Jesus die on the cross and later in the story if there's not sin? He didn't do it for fun, if he did it at all.
To me, as a Christian, this is very important evidence that Genesis is true. Because
hold on. So let's, because that is wild, and I think you should look back at this. Actually, you know what? You admitted to me that you don't look back at this. I even caught you saying that you pray and don't listen while we're talking. You know what, Otangelo?
That makes so much sense in terms of his response.
I would like you to look back at this video, and I will consider whether or not we ever talk to you again. I just don't see the value in it. Jamie, do you want to close this out?
Yeah, it's going to be very brief, but I think the last thing I shouldn't respond specifically to his argument and then cut him off. Yeah, Otangelo, I thought for a while that it was one of the, I have a script, whether it's literal or it's just the way I've thought, and I'm going to stick with that, and that's the way I approach a conversation. But it actually makes a lot of sense if you are spending more of your mental focus on prayer than on listening to what we say to respond to it. I hope that you understand that I'm not deliberately trying to insult you, but
if you're talking about me, because at no moment I said that rather than listening what you are saying, I am praying. I don't remember that I ever said that.
Sure, I actually screen capped it on Facebook. I might have it on my phone.
I am focused to listen to your arguments. I try to respond to them as accurately as possible. And if you really are into honesty and figuring out honestly about origins, and then you say to me that for what reason ever, for what I said here right now, this is a reason to cut me off, and I can't call
Eric
anymore.
was referring to something that you had said on Facebook to him.
I'm honest. This is ridiculous, and you're just shooting into your own foot.
You're shooting our own foot.
Yeah, so Eric was talking about not something that you said in this conversation, but something that you said on Facebook.
I actually tracked the conversations you were having with your friends because I was tagged into it, and so I saw that. If that's not true, that's fantastic. I don't know why you'd lie to your friends. But if that's the case, then I'm sorry, I retract it. That just means you've lied to your friends. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So
say that. Then it wasn't me. And if it wasn't me...
Did someone hack your account?
Well, here, let's clarify. I've also been reached out to Otangelo on Facebook. I haven't responded to the message that account sent me. I was planning on doing that eventually when I had the response and whatever I was going to do ready. But do you have an account on Facebook where you have sent me a message on Messenger?
Yes, I did.
And the name on your account is Otangelo.
Yes.
And it's the same account that you've been engaging with Eric on, presumably.
Well, what happens is that my old Facebook account was canceled and I have a new one. So
and that's the one you've been using to engage with Eric on, yes or no? Is that the one you've been using to engage with Eric on?
Well, I just did send also the same link.
I mean, it's
to
kind
Eric,
of it's kind of a very easy question because I'm trying to get to the bottom of this issue of did he say this on Facebook or did he not? Is that the account that you've been using to communicate with Eric?
Yes, I have just one account.
Okay, so when he said, I saw that this was posted and I took a screenshot of it and I've been tracking this conversation, and you said, oh, it definitely wasn't me, I think it's possible, because we don't always remember everything that we say, human memory is like a sieve, that might be the case. And I'm sure that Eric would be happy to send you that. Well, I'm not sure. Eric may be very well happy to send you a copy of that screenshot.
Sure.
And I'm sorry to the live audience and the audience at home that I spent
Yeah.
that much time cross-examining about whether he
something
posted
that's-
a thing on Facebook.
It's okay. Otangelo, yeah, take care. Bye.
How is it that I did the least amount of talking and got the most wound up?
It's okay. So let's move on. I do want to say it's just these conversations are worth having.
Yes.
But they're worth having when we're dealing honestly, and the level of dishonesty there is just mind-blowing. If you're watching this and if you're looking at it and going, oh, Eric and Jamie didn't give him a chance, look in the comments below, because I guarantee you Otangelo will respond to everyone who says anything about him and blast them with bullshit. He's done it for every video we've ever done that he's been on. And then let us know whether or not we've been dishonest here or we haven't given him the chance.
And then also look at previous episodes where he's been on. I don't have the citations off the top of my head, but yeah, he's had a lot of airtime on our show.